Hey guys, Ali Duzette here, and this is just a smattering of important stuff for today's eclipse. Number one, for realsies, guys, do not look at the sun without eclipse glasses, no matter where you are. Um, the only time it is ever safe to look at the sun with your naked eye is during the totality of the eclipse when the whole sun is blocked out and all you can see is that little ring around the moon. Any other time, it will blind you for your rest of your life. And I have been seeing reports of like people who like had a hole in their eclipse glasses and were blinded for life after this. Like, do not look at the sun. I just feel like I have to mention it because people have been asking me if they really need eclipse glasses when they're not in totality. And it's like, yes, totality is the only place where you might not need eclipse glasses, but like just use eclipse glasses, guys. Don't go blind. Okay. A window is closing. The 7-year window from 2017 to 2024 is closing with today's eclipse. Remember, we had the other total eclipse in 2017, and these two eclipses make a big X. X marks the spot right over America. It is the middle portion is over a place called Little Egypt, Illinois, which is named after a Bible story of Joseph in Egypt. In the story of Joseph of Egypt, there were 7 years of famine, sorry, 7 years of plenty, and then 7 years of famine. And because Joseph had seen it in advance, he had planned ahead for the 7 years of famine. And in Little Egypt, Illinois, in the 1800s, there was a famine, and everywhere around had no food, and they would all descend to the town called Cairo, which apparently in the locals call it Cairo, but it's spelled Cairo, just like, Cairo in Egypt. And they would go there to get their food and joke that they were reenacting the Bible story. So this is a very interesting connection with these two eclipses, 7 years apart, meeting in Little Egypt, named specifically after this Bible story of 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. Are we heading into a 7-year famine period? I don't know, but this is something to keep an eye on. This is a meaningful window of time, even if we don't understand it, which I feel like I don't fully understand it, but I've been trying, guys. I'm working hard. One important thing to note about that 7-year window between 2017 to 2024 is that the actual time in between these two eclipses was 6 years and 6 months and 6 weeks, and I think 6 days. It was crazy, but exactly at the halfway point, 1,211 days from each eclipse. That date was December the 14th of 2020. And that exact day was the first day that the Shanot came out and people could take it. And it was also the day that the Electoral College certified the current person in the White House. And so this is a very significant date for me, and the stuff that happened on it I think is significant, and I think we're going to see more in the future how significant it really was as we see more and more consequences of those two events unfold with the future. And also important, on that same day, there was another total solar eclipse, but this time it was only visible from South America, so we did not hear about it that much. But there was a lot of interesting alignment happening, having to do with this 7-year window. And today is the day that it's kind of closing up, and we're having a reset of some kind. So this eclipse is taking place in the sign of Aries, and Aries deals with birth and new beginnings. It's, the first day of Aries is the astrological new year. This is the year that, this is the time of year that every culture has always associated with the new year because this is when we have new life. This is when spring happens and, all the little things are being born. It's Easter season. Um, but man, with this eclipse taking place in this exact slice of the sky, I think we're going to see a serious rebirth of particularly the nation of the United States in ways that none of us are going to be able to fully predict in advance. And part of that will have to do with the fact that Pluto is in Aquarius. Pluto deals with death and rebirth, endings and new beginnings. And in Aquarius, that's going to make it really unexpected, very unpredictable. So we're just going to have to see what happens. On top of that, we have Uranus really close to Jupiter right now, which is going to add this other flavor of unexpectedness, expansive unexpectedness. So we're going to see some big rebirth. It starts today. I don't know that we're going to see huge things today, but we might. But we might. I don't know. We'll just have to see. We'll see for ourselves. But the thing that I do feel confident about is that this time next year, we're going to look back on this day and say, okay, between April 8th of 2024 and April 8th of 2025, wow, a whole lot of crazy stuff sure happened. I think that that is a going to be an accurate prediction. Now, one of the leading earthquake experts in the land is apparently predicting some seismic activity this week. Apparently, he predicted that there was going to be an earthquake in New York and New Jersey right before it happened on April 5th. And so he's predicting several more earthquakes in the US this week, including one in, I think, North or South Carolina. And I can't remember where the other one was, but you go check it out. Um, this this is a thing. I just did a video about earthquakes and eclipses. The US Geological Survey says that they're not related at all. But in my opinion, the moon controls the tides on the earth. I really think that if the movement of the sun and the moon is affecting, the movement of our surface water, why would it not be affecting our internal planetary water? I mean, like it's all the same water, right? Oh my gosh. And so, um, I don't know. I just wonder if we're going to see some earthquake activity kind of similar to the earthquake activity that showed up after the 1811 solar eclipse that was, again, one of two solar eclipses that made an X across America in 7 years, 1804 and 1811. And then after 1811, they had a whole bunch of earthquakes. Those earthquakes started about 8 months after, but we've already seen that earthquake in New York just a couple days ago, so I don't know. We'll have to just see, but I do recommend brushing up on earthquake safety. And yeah, whether or not we see external earthquakes, all of us are going to have the opportunity to process some internal earthquakes. A total solar eclipse gives us the opportunity to reset our internal sense of self. The sun represents your core personality, and the moon represents kind of your emotional sensations of your own life, if that makes sense. And so when you have an eclipse, a solar eclipse, the moon is blocking out the sun. And on a spiritual and symbolic level, it's like your emotional side is kind of like severing the connection that you have between yourself and your normal sense of self. So I hope that that makes sense. But this is going to give us all an opportunity to view ourselves a little differently. Situations may organically arise to help you find greater clarity on your life and who you are. And because this exact eclipse is in Aries, we're going to find ourselves encouraged to step up and assert ourselves and our boundaries a little more strongly than usual. Aries is a sign that does not shy away from conflict, and so we may see more conflict than usual, between ourselves and other people, and even between ourselves and ourselves. Like, what inside of you is in conflict that's going to, show up and rise up to the surface so that you can process it? Are you going to process it? We all have a choice on how we're going to handle the things that show up in our lives. And I really believe that everything that does show up for us is giving us a big chance to heal and to notice, where are we out of alignment with God and out of alignment with the laws of the universe. We get this chance to say, okay, hey, I don't think that the way I'm handling this is probably how God wants me to handle this. So now I'm going to take a step back, reevaluate, think about how I want to do this differently. Anyway, a very, very quick story. My little son is 8 and he is an Aries rising, and my family does not have a lot of Aries energy in it. Most of us, I don't think, have anything in Aries at all, but he's an Aries rising, and he came up in the middle of the night just now, because he was so scared, and he was having a lot of fears about bad guys. He's had a lot of fears about bad guys coming into our house at night. He's had these fears for years, and anyway, but on and off. And so tonight I had him walk through some guided imagery and stuff like I do at my website. And by the end of it, we went from a fear of a level 7 to a fear of 0. And he felt so much more empowered, and like he had a new vision of himself as somebody who is empowered and who is protected with God's divine protection, and he said he wasn't scared anymore. And I thought, man, he just had a total solar eclipse event. We just worked through some big serious emotions, the moon, and it kind of blocked out his core sense of self for a minute. And then when the light was restored, he saw that this whole time he thought that he was just a little kid, just unprotected and vulnerable. And now he knows that he's not unprotected. He is fully covered with God's divine protection, and he said that he knew that now. And so this is the kind of experience that we can have. One thing I do want to note is that when these kinds of experiences show up, if you don't write them down, then they don't always seem as significant as they really are. Like, I need to go write down my son's experience with this because I think it is really significant. In reality, it was a 20-minute conversation that we had on the couch, and this is something that we could easily forget. But this is a great example of how a total solar eclipse, the energies surrounding it, really did impact my son with an Aries rising, and so these situations may not be totally, earth shattering or something on a personal level, unless we realize how important they really are in the moment. So just pay attention and just notice what is showing up for you. And, and I don't know, ask yourself, like, could this be more significant than I think? Because sometimes it is. There's going to be a huge unleashing of energy with this event, and all of our spirits are going to be affected by this. All of our bodies and spirits are connected. I mean, like, your body and your spirit is connected, and all humans that are alive because their spirit is inside of and connected to their body, and that's what makes us alive, right? But our bodies are strongly influenced by the movement of the sun and moon, the gravity of it, right? Like the moon affecting the tides of all water on the earth, including you. Like, your body is mostly water. The sun and the moon affect our circadian rhythm, which affects every single thing inside of our entire bodies. We're all affected by this on a body level, and our spirits are all affected by what happens in our physical bodies. So I am just here to say, like, if you feel very tired, if you feel kind of blah, if you feel hyped up, like any kind of unusual feelings that you're feeling today, yes, we're all being impacted by a huge unleashing of energy. And so one of the best things that you can do for yourself is going to be self-care. Please drink water, please hydrate, please drink your electrolytes, rest, think twice before you speak, I said in there, because this eclipse is also happening right next to Mercury, which is in retrograde right now, if you haven't heard. And so what does that mean? It means that we're all very much more prone to be misunderstood than usual. So this is a great time to just think twice before we speak, and try not to stir up anything unnecessarily. This is a time when I think, especially since this eclipse is happening exact to Chiron, which is the asteroid of injury and wounding, um, we just are going to be very prone to hurting each other with our words. So just be careful, take care of yourself, rest. The heavenly realm is in upheaval today, as it happens with eclipses, and that's okay. It's good. It's giving us this chance to reset. And we're going to handle it the best if we take good care of ourselves today. So please just take care of yourself. Come hang out with me on Facebook. Intuitive Healing with Ali Duzette is my Facebook group. It is super fun, and only the highest quality people are there. So please come join us. And thank you for being here. I hope to have another video up today after, some more things have happened. We'll have to see. But either way, sending love to you guys today, and have a great eclipse experience.